In the first part of this video, which link is in the description of this one, we explain the difference and the advantages of network flows, qflows, and QNI, what everyone actually yields. As a continuation of that video, this one is going to be focused on how to use qflows to detect things that are abnormal. As a quick refresh, from the packet header, which is what you get from netflows, you can get information like the source IP, the destination IP and port, the quality of service, whether it's TCP, UDP, ICMP, the number of bytes and number of packets being transmitted, ASN, information that is useful. So for example, you can say, well, anything that is port 22 is SSH and 53 is DNS and so on and so forth. But is that really the case? So for example, if someone hides SSH sessions by transmitting on port, let's say 9022, will that fool you? Yeah, if all you have is netflow, yes, you will not catch that. And in fact, we're going to show an example where actually QRadar detect this as an anomaly because SSH should not go on a port that is not 22. And doing this type of things might lead to something malicious. In other words, it's an anomaly that we want to detect. But how does qflow is capable of detecting these things? qflow analyzes the first 64 bytes of the payload. So this is not the header, this is inside the payload, and it uses application detection algorithms like state-based decoding. Think of them as a rule to actually detect how this particular protocol or application behaves, but also looks at the port and by default has definition of several ports, very many of them. Some of them very well known as malicious, like maybe peer-to-peer traffic that uses specific predefined ports, and he has many by default. Or you can actually, as your installation, you can predefine some of those port mapping rules. There's also algorithm for ICMP protocol mapping, but most importantly, there are many sophisticated algorithms that look at the signatures of the payload, the content of the payload, specific sequence of hex values that denote the presence of a particular application. And then when it uses those algorithms into those first 64 bytes, it can do very good detection of particular application. So for example, it will detect, even though the port is 9022, as we see later, it can detect that that is nevertheless SSH. So in this particular case, we're looking at a flow that is a UDP flow, and the QRadar has detected this is BitTorrent. How does it do that? Well, here we get a clue that the algorithm that it used in this particular case was the default port mapping, and this is here, this is the netflow information, again very good but limited. But here is the payload, the first 64 byte of it, and QRadar was able to determine that to the untrained eye this looks like some stuff, nodes, target, but QRadar knows precisely that this is BitTorrent. And because that is BitTorrent, in fact, there are almost 7,000 of those flows, an offense fires, as you can see here. We can actually display the rules that made this offense fire. And this is actually saying, not only I detected that this is from the outside in, that the application is of the type peer-to-peer, but also there had been at least 100 flows from the same destination IP to different source IP within an hour. That's a scanning, and the communication was successful. Again, a default rule that detects this anomaly without you having to do anything other than just sending qflows into QRadar, which I described how you do that in the first video. Remember that I told you that QRadar by default can detect when SSH is being used on a non-standard port. Let's actually take a look at this offense and see How did it do it? Notice that there's only one flow. That's all QRadar needed. If we take a look at that one, we see this is a TCP IP that has been detected a remote type of connection from SSH, and the algorithm that it's using here is actually signatures. So you can use whatever port you want. You're not going to fool it because it also in the payload there's signature information that allows QRadar to actually detect that. And we can even see here in the payload, sure thing, SSH 2.0 open SSH. That's definitely SSH, and this is part of the first 64 bytes of that payload. Here's another example of SSH detected on a non-standard port. This is a different IP address. Far many more flows in this particular case. So let's take a look at that one and look at the flows. Well, before looking at the flows, notice that QRadar made this determination and is using that information and launching other events that, as you see, is feeding UBA, is saying, I'm detecting all these bad things actually happening. Even, all these things fire and contribute to other components, in this particular case as UBA. But let's go back to the flows and take a look at any of these flows. I'm going to take a look at the first one. And we see that the algorithm was also application signatures. They do not have to be the same. I mean, let's see if I'm lucky here and I find another one of these flows. Let me click on anyone random in here and see if it detects. It uses a different algorithm, state-based decoding. So you see, it's detecting all these and say all these flows. You can call them whatever you want. You can hide them however you want on the port, but this is SSH, and this offense actually fires. So let's look at another example. This is a particular flow. TCP/IP is, HTML. Even though when we see here the port is being 9080, this is not something malicious. So QRadar is not going to fire an offense because some programs actually do this, but it's a way of showing you that by looking at the payload, this is definitely a browser using curl. It's a get. So notice that we cannot see here the entire host because it is being truncated. It's the first 64 bytes of it. But here in the application that the algorithm uses state-based decoding, pretty good. So you see the capability of QRadar of detecting all these things. And what is it that it can do besides the example that we show you with the SSH on a non-standard port, which could be a malicious thing? So if I go into the rules and put a search on non-standard rules that have that title, we see the SSH that we saw before in here. And we can see the details of the rule and notice that it's detected that it's SSH. We saw that. There's an example for local, one for remote. I want to show you this one in particular. It's an interesting one. Hidden FTP server. Let me actually look at that one again. And this one caught my attention because if you see, it's local to local, something been happening inside my network. And notice that the application data transfer is FTP, even though it's not using port standard for FTP, which are 20 and 21, and the category is successful communication. So something spoke, it used FTP traffic application, but it was hiding by using a non-standard port. Therefore, that's something hidden, and you want QRadar to fire an offense on that, and that's precisely what QRadar does. Here's another example. These rules actually says, well, when the DNS that we are detecting here because of the usage of the port 53 is not in the host definition DNS server. In other words, it's not what I have approved, and you've seen me this before. You go into the asset database, you discover your servers, and you approve the one that are good. Therefore, if a rogue one shows up, it's not going to be part of that host definition building block. And the connection is from the inside to the outside, and when any of the flows matches this category. Again, this is potential usage of the DNS traffic for doing command and control communication. Very powerful, and all you have to do is send qflows into QRadar. So here's another example. If we look at any one of these flows, it says, well, this is TCP/IP, and image has actually been transferred. How do you know that? That's not going to be on the header frames. Well, look at that. We get the actual get, and it indicates that it's a PNG type of file. We get the user agent, all the details about the browser being used. Notice that the algorithm that hit in this particular case is a state-based decoding. And here, when we look at the payload, it is quite obvious that there is a request for a JPEG, and here we see the details. That this stuff that cannot be shown is because it's part of the graphic that has actually been sent. So again, I want to keep this video short, but I hope that this gives you a flavor of the things that QRadar can detect and the rules that by default will be working for you detecting these type of things. Things like, unless you are collecting qflows and you are inspecting the payload, or via QNI as well, you cannot see any of these. There are not going to be any logs that will indicate any of these things that we have seen here, or you will not find these by just using netflows, by just looking at the packet headers. That information simply is not there. It's in the payload.